If you're over 60, something is happening in your kitchen every single day that could quietly harm your brain while you sleep. No pain, no warning. One day, you're sipping coffee and telling a story. The next, you're struggling to find your words or even remember your grandchild's name. As a brain doctor with over 30 years of experience, I've seen too many cases where strokes didn't come from smoking or greasy fast food, but from everyday food habits that seemed healthy, even comforting, like that warm piece of toast you have each morning, that salad you eat for dinner to stay light, or even that bedtime snack you've trusted for years. Here's the truth. After age 60, your brain doesn't respond to food the same way it did when you were 40. Certain meals and drinks, eaten at the wrong time or in the wrong combination, can quietly thicken your blood, disrupt oxygen to your brain, and raise your stroke risk overnight without a single symptom. Everyone thinks it's just aging, but I can tell you, as a doctor, it's not. The medical term is cerebral microvascular dysfunction, but you don't need to remember that. What you do need to remember is this. Even good food, when misunderstood, can slowly chip away at your clarity, your balance, and your precious independence. But here's the good news. You can protect your brain without giving up what you love. You don't need expensive supplements or extreme diets. You just need to understand how your aging brain responds and make a few small, smart changes. Today, I'll walk you through 10 silent food habits that may be putting your brain at risk and what to do instead. Some of these might surprise you. Some might even be sitting in your fridge right now. So please, stay with me until the end. This might be the most important health message you hear this year. And if you find this video helpful, please click the subscribe button, hit the bell so you never miss a tip, and let me know you're here by typing 1 in the comments. Because your brain, the one that carried your wisdom, your memories, your stories, deserves to stay clear, sharp, and alive. All the way through. Number 1, processed meats, the hidden stroke risk. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever started your morning with a few slices of bacon, maybe a ham sandwich for lunch, or a hot dog during your grandson's baseball game? It feels harmless, even comforting. These are foods we've trusted for decades. But here's the truth I've seen unfold in too many of my older patients. Processed meats like bacon, sausage, ham, deli turkey, and even canned corned beef can quietly damage your brain in ways that show no signs until it's too late. You see, these meats are preserved using chemicals called nitrites and nitrates. When they enter the body, they don't just keep the meat fresh, they interact with your blood vessels, especially in older adults whose vessels are already thinner, stiffer, and more fragile. These compounds can trigger inflammation in the vessel walls. Over time, they narrow your arteries, making it harder for blood, and more importantly, oxygen to reach your brain. I once treated a gentleman named Paul, 72 years old, retired Air Force mechanic, still sharp as a tack. He was active, didn't smoke, and even walked every morning. But he loved convenience. A sandwich with deli turkey for lunch, a few strips of bacon on weekends. Just quick meals, doc, he said. But then one morning, he woke up and couldn't lift his right arm. His speech slurred. He called his wife by his daughter's name. At the hospital, we found a clot had blocked one of the small arteries feeding his brain. The MRI showed old, silent damage too, what we call microinfarcts, little brain attacks that had gone unnoticed but slowly chipped away at his sharpness. The culprit? Chronic inflammation from years of high-sodium, nitrate-heavy processed meats, quietly eroding his vascular health. Here's why this matters so much after 60. Your brain doesn't just need food. It needs clean, smooth blood flow, like a stream feeding a garden. But when that stream gets clogged, even a little, parts of the garden wither. Your memory, your balance, even your mood can be affected. Now, I'm not saying you have to give up everything you enjoy, But what if you replaced that ham sandwich with grilled chicken? Or swapped bacon for a boiled egg and avocado? What if instead of feeding your habits, you started feeding your brain? Small shifts make big changes, especially at this age, because a stroke doesn't always come like lightning. Sometimes it builds slowly, silently, until one day it arrives. So let me ask you, what processed meat did you have this week? And more importantly, what will you try instead tomorrow? Number 2, high sodium foods, the pressure that cracks vessels. Let me share something you may not hear often. Sometimes it's not the salt shaker on your table that causes the damage. It's the salt that's hiding in your healthy soup. It's in your whole wheat bread, your low-fat cheese, even in the frozen meals labeled Heart Smart. As we grow older, our bodies become more sensitive to sodium. That means even moderate amounts can quietly raise blood pressure, strain the heart, and, most dangerously, begin to damage the delicate vessels inside the brain. You won't feel it at first. There's no sting, no soreness, just an invisible, mounting pressure building inside tiny arteries until one day it's too much and a vessel cracks. That's what happened to my patient, Ms. Eleanor, age 79, a retired librarian who loved watching classic films and cooking healthy. She told me, "Doc, I barely use salt. I always buy the low-sodium soup." But when we looked at her blood pressure logs, her readings were erratic, up, down, up again. And one morning, she fainted in the garden. At the hospital, scans showed a small hemorrhage in the left side of her brain. A vessel had burst. Her sodium levels? High. Why? Because those so-called low-sodium soups she relied on still contained hundreds of milligrams of salt per serving, and she was drinking the whole can, every day. Sodium acts like a sponge inside your body. It pulls water into your bloodstream, increases volume, and forces your heart to pump harder. Over time, this consistent pressure wears down vessel walls, especially in the brain, where the vessels are thin and extremely fragile after age 65. Here's the thing. You don't have to give up all flavor, but awareness is power. Start checking labels. Anything with over 140 milligrams of sodium per serving, be cautious. Choose no salt added versions. Season with herbs, garlic, and lemon juice. Cook from scratch when you can. And most importantly, watch how your body responds. If you're waking up dizzy, if your ankles swell by evening, if your doctor mentions borderline pressure, these might be signs your vessels are under stress. Now I'd love to hear from you. What's one packaged food you eat regularly? Soup, bread, sauce, that you'll check the label on this week? Because your brain isn't just made of memories, it's protected by blood vessels. Let's keep them strong, flexible, and safe, starting with what's on your plate. Number 3, sugary drinks. Inflammation in a glass. Let me take you back to a familiar scene. It's 3 p.m. You feel tired, a bit foggy, maybe a little lightheaded, so you reach for a cold bottle of sweet iced tea or maybe a glass of soda, just a little pick-me-up to push through the afternoon. But what if I told you that one sweet drink, just one, might be quietly damaging your brain? Most older adults don't realize this, but sugary beverages are one of the most dangerous sources of brain inflammation after age 60. They don't just spike your blood sugar, they fuel a slow-burning fire inside your blood vessels. And that fire leads straight to stroke risk. Let me explain. Your brain is surrounded by tiny, delicate arteries. When you drink sugary liquids like soda, fruit punch, flavored lattes, even healthy bottled smoothies, the sugar rush enters your bloodstream almost instantly. That sudden spike doesn't just make your insulin work overtime. It creates what we call glycation stress, a kind of stickiness in the blood that irritates vessel walls. Over time, this inflammation makes the arteries less flexible. The lining becomes rough, and that's when small clots can form. In the brain, One tiny clot can cause a silent stroke, a small event you might not even feel, until your memory slips or your balance falters. One of my patients, Mr. Ray, 74, widower, retired truck driver, used to drink sweet tea with every lunch. "Been doing it since I was 20, Doc," he said. He thought it was harmless, but his MRI told a different story. It showed several silent infarcts, small areas where brain tissue had quietly died from lack of oxygen. When we cut the sugar drinks, added water, and balanced his meals, his blood pressure stabilized and his thinking became clearer. He told me, "I didn't realize how foggy I'd gotten until the fog lifted." And here's the good news. You don't have to give up flavor. Just choose smarter. Replace soda with sparkling water and a slice of lemon. Trade sweet tea for herbal infusions like mint or hibiscus. Skip bottled smoothies and make your own with fresh fruit, greens, and no added sugars. Your brain doesn't crave sugar, it craves stability, hydration, and oxygen. Every sweet drink might feel like energy, but what it's doing is robbing your brain of clarity inch by inch. So tell me in the comments, what's your go-to drink every afternoon? And what healthier version will you try this week? Because sometimes the simplest habit, just changing what you sip, can help protect everything you've built: your mind, your memories, and your independence. Number 4, pastries, cookies, and carb-heavy snacks. Daily snacks that damage. Let me take you back to yesterday afternoon. You were watching TV, or maybe reading the paper. You felt a little hungry. So you reached for a cookie, a muffin, or maybe a leftover slice of sweet bread. Just a little something to hold you over. But here's what I want you to understand, especially after age 60. These small, innocent-looking snacks, pastries, cookies, crackers, chips, might quietly be harming your brain. That's because these snacks usually contain a dangerous combination: refined starches, added sugars, and inflammatory oils. When you eat them, your body treats it like a mini crisis. Your blood sugar spikes, insulin rushes in, then your sugar crashes. You feel tired, foggy, and hungry all over again. These constant ups and downs don't just leave you feeling drained, they create silent inflammation in the walls of your blood vessels, especially the tiny ones in your brain, which are already more fragile with age. I'll never forget one of my patients, Diane, age 68. She lived alone, cooked healthy meals, avoided fried food, and ate her vegetables. But every afternoon she had a little ritual: tea with a butter cookie, sometimes a slice of banana bread. A few years in, she began noticing odd symptoms: slight balance issues, misplacing simple things, feeling foggy in the afternoons. Her brain scan showed early signs of small vessel damage, what we call silent strokes. No smoking, no alcohol, no high blood pressure. But a daily habit of sugary processed snacks was quietly creating inflammation. Here's the good news. It's easy to make a change. Instead of pastries, try a handful of unsalted nuts, some apple slices with peanut butter, or a cup of plain Greek yogurt with berries. These snacks are still satisfying, but they support your brain instead of stressing it. So here's my question to you. What snack will you choose this afternoon? Not just to fill your stomach, but to nourish your mind. Because brain health doesn't depend on big changes. It begins with small, quiet choices, like what you eat between lunch and dinner. Number 5, eating too late, disrupting your brain's healing night. Here's something many people overlook. It's not just what you eat. It's when you eat that deeply affects your brain health, especially after 60. Think back to last night. What time did you have dinner? And how well did you sleep afterward? Many of my patients tell me they often eat late. Maybe it's the only quiet time they have, or maybe they feel more relaxed with food before bed. But after age 60, eating late at night can become a silent disruptor of your brain's natural repair cycle. Let me explain. At night, during sleep, your body enters a powerful phase of healing, especially in the brain. This is when your brain activates its lymphatic cleansing system. It clears away toxins, repairs cells, and strengthens your memory and mental clarity. But here's the key. This healing process only works well when your digestive system is at rest. If you eat too late, especially heavy or starchy meals, your blood flow is redirected toward digestion instead of the brain. Your body focuses on breaking down food, not restoring the mind. And the precious cleanup process in the brain, it gets delayed or missed altogether. I remember a patient named Harold, 70 years old. He often ate dinner around 9 p.m., sometimes later. Then he'd have milk and cookies before bed to sleep better. At first, he just complained of light sleep, but later he began feeling mentally foggy, forgetful, and drained in the morning. When we adjusted his routine, eating earlier, choosing lighter dinners, and avoiding food after 7 p.m., his sleep improved. And just weeks later, he told me, "It's like my mind is clearer again." That's the power of timing. So here's what I recommend. Give yourself at least 3 hours between dinner and bedtime. Keep dinner light, some steamed fish, vegetable soup, or a small bowl of oatmeal. And if you must have something before bed, try a few apple slices or a warm cup of herbal tea. Ask yourself, do you wake up groggy? Need to use the bathroom at night? Feel like your brain never really rested? Those may be your brain's gentle way of saying, let me rest when the time is right. Try eating just a little earlier tonight. And tomorrow morning, notice how your brain feels. Because sometimes something as simple as shifting your dinner time can open the door to real restorative sleep and a sharper, healthier mind. Number 6, artificial sweeteners. The fake friends of your brain. I know you're just trying to do the right thing. You've read that sugar is bad for your health. You want to manage your weight, control your blood pressure, avoid diabetes, so you switch to artificial sweeteners. The little blue, yellow, or pink packets in your morning coffee. The sugar-free yogurt, the diet sodas, even the breath mints that say no sugar. But here's what most of my patients don't realize. Artificial sweeteners can quietly confuse and disrupt the brain, especially after age 60. You see, our bodies are wired to respond to sweetness as a sign of incoming energy. But when the brain tastes something sweet without actual calories, it gets confused. Insulin is triggered, preparing for sugar that never arrives. Over time, this mismatch can lead to insulin resistance, which is closely linked to cognitive decline. One large Harvard study found that older adults who regularly consumed artificial sweeteners had a significantly higher risk of stroke and memory loss. And it's not because they used too much, Vadi. It's because the brain cannot fully process fake sweet. I remember one of my patients, Louise, age 66. She was extremely disciplined. No sugar, strict about her blood sugar readings. But she used 3 to 4 artificial sweetener packets daily in her tea, ate sugar-free yogurt, and sucked on diet candies throughout the day. Her labs looked perfect, but she was always tired, had trouble concentrating, and started experiencing mild confusion. When we phased out the artificial sweeteners and added small amounts of natural sugars, like fresh fruit or a teaspoon of honey, her energy improved. Her thinking became clearer. I didn't realize those little packets were messing with my head, she told me. So here's what I suggest. Choose natural sweetness, sweetness when you can. If you need a little sweet flavor, try raw honey, chopped dates, or real fruit, always in moderation. Avoid products with aspartame, sucralose, or saccharin, common in diet drinks and sugar-free foods. And if you're thinking, but I only use a little, just know a little every day over months and years is enough to confuse your brain's chemistry. So today, take a look in your pantry. Any labels that say sugar-free but contain artificial sweeteners, try replacing them with something gentler, something your brain can truly understand. Because sometimes the things we thought were better for us are the very things making our brains work harder than they should. Number 7, not drinking enough water. Silent dehydration that affects brain function. Have you ever felt like your brain just won't turn on? Not quite tired, not exactly sleepy, but foggy, slow, and unfocused, like your thoughts are stuck in traffic. Most people assume that's just aging, but sometimes the answer is much simpler. Your brain might just be thirsty. After age 60, our sense of thirst naturally becomes weaker. That means you could be dehydrated and not even know it. And mild dehydration, even just a little, can significantly affect how your brain works. The brain is made up of about 75% water. Water doesn't just hydrate, it helps cells communicate, supports memory, and keeps your mood steady. When you don't drink enough, your brain cells begin to shrink slightly, slowing down how quickly they send signals. You feel forgetful, foggy, even dizzy. One of my patients, Albert, age 71, was a thoughtful, careful man, but he came in worried. He was forgetting where he put his keys. He couldn't recall his grandson's name right away. He said, Doctor, I feel like my mind is just fuzzy. His tests were fine, no sign of stroke, but when I asked how much water he drank, he said, maybe 2 cups a day. I'm not thirsty. We made one small change. He kept a water bottle by his chair, sipped every hour, added broth soups at lunch. After just 10 days, he called me and said, Doc, it feels like someone turned the lights back on in my head. You don't need to drink gallons. You just need to stay ahead of your thirst. A glass when you wake up. A few sips before each meal. Small sips throughout the day. Add hydrating foods like cucumber, watermelon, oranges, and soups. Watch for signs: dry mouth, dry skin, fatigue, lightheadedness when standing. These are all gentle whispers from your body and your brain saying, please give me water. So today, pour yourself a glass. Keep it by your side. Sip slowly, often, not to fight aging, but to nourish the mind that's carried you through life's journey. Number 8, excess alcohol, shrinking the brain without warning. This might be a sensitive topic, but it's one we must talk about because it's more common than you think. Many older adults enjoy a glass of wine with dinner, a cold beer on a warm day, or a nightcap before bed. And in moderation, it may feel harmless, even relaxing. But what I've seen over decades of practice is that alcohol can shrink the brain quietly and long before you feel anything is wrong. Here's the truth. As we age, our bodies metabolize alcohol differently. The same amount that once felt light can now linger longer, stay in your system overnight, and most importantly, affect your brain more deeply. The hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and learning, is particularly sensitive to alcohol. Even small regular doses, like a glass or 2 each evening, can gradually reduce its volume. This means slower thinking, forgetfulness, and increased risk of dementia. I had a patient named Carol, age 69. Every night, she had 2 glasses of wine. It helps me sleep, she said. But she noticed her memory was slipping. She had trouble finding words. She started repeating herself. When we cut back her alcohol to just once or twice a week, paired with better sleep habits, her clarity returned. She said, I didn't realize how much it was dulling me until I stopped. You see, alcohol also disrupts sleep, especially deep restorative sleep. It dehydrates. It increases inflammation. It interferes with medication. And most of all, it silently wears away at brain function, especially when consumed daily. So what can you do? Limit alcohol to no more than 3 drinks per week. Avoid drinking close to bedtime. Replace the habit. Try herbal tea, warm milk with cinnamon, or sparkling water with lime. Give your brain nights of full, uninterrupted rest. If you're wondering, is my evening drink a problem? Just ask yourself, how is my memory? How is my sleep? How do I feel in the mornings? Sometimes the clearest minds come from the simplest shifts, like fewer drinks and more water, peace, and rest. Because the brain doesn't need alcohol to unwind. It needs hydration. sleep, and time to heal. We've just walked through 10 everyday food habits, seemingly harmless, that may quietly be harming your brain. Habits that can increase your risk of stroke, weaken your memory, and affect your independence, especially after 60. And I understand many of these habits have been with you for decades. They're tied to family dinners, comfort foods, or the rhythm of daily life. But as we age, our bodies, and especially our brains, respond differently. What once felt normal can now be harmful unless we learn and gently adjust. The good news is you don't need to change everything at once. Start with just one thing. Drink more water, eat dinner a little earlier, check the sodium label on your favorite soup. Each small step is a gift to the brain that's carried you through a lifetime of memories. And if this video helped you, please hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and leave a 1 in the comments to let me know you're on this journey with me, to keep your brain sharp, strong, and full of life. Now listen closely, because if you truly want to protect your brain from stroke, it's not just what you eat. It's how you move every morning. There are 5 common exercise mistakes people over 60 make, often with the best intentions, that can triple your risk of stroke if done wrong. And most people don't even realize they're making them. So in the next video, we'll uncover 5 morning exercise mistakes that triple your stroke risk after 60. It's one of the most important videos I've ever made, and it could help you or someone you love avoid disaster. Stay with me because we're not just living longer. We're living clearer, calmer, and more purposefully. One step, one habit, one choice at a time.